Hello, and welcome to With Heart and Soul podcast. You're listening to your host Jackie and David.
Hey,
Hey, so David, how has your week been so far?
it's been busy. It's been busy. I would say that fall time approaches, and I personally love the fall weather. But there's a lot of things you could do outside. You can wear, make sure you're bundled up, of course, because it gets a little bit colder. But there's so many different things going on, like carnivals and people's birthdays and things of that nature. And I was talking to a friend today. I was like, I feel like this time is moving so quick. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's just moving so quick. So it's just like you think like you're doing one thing, and the next thing is like, boom, dang, it's late. So that's how my week has been. What about yours? How's your week been?
It's been super busy. I had my kids this week with me, so I've been exhausted all week long. I've been working. I work every day. Then I come home and I be a mom and work on the podcast. I work on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been super busy, but I've been enjoying the weather too. And I've been thinking about how fast time is going to. I'm just like, tomorrow's going to be Christmas.
Doesn't it feel that way? Like, I don't know. Like, it's
Mhm.
just so weird how it's like it was Sunday a week ago, but it doesn't feel like a whole week went by. It just feels like a blur. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Are you excited for? It's like, what's your favorite season? Would you say fall is your favorite season, or?
Fall is definitely my favorite season, but just like the entire time period from October to December is just my prime time. Like I will always be in a good mood. I'm so excited. I just found out that our city is gonna have like a light show at an amusement park here. It's
Oh,
Dorney
that's cool.
Park.
Yeah.
And so in the parking lot of Dorney Park, there's going to be like a light show and it's going to be like 30 to 40 minutes long. So I am so excited about that. Like beyond.
Oh, that would be cool. Make sure you take pictures so I can look at
I will. I'm a Christmas person all the way. Like if I could live in the North Pole, I would.
it. So you're into the snow and all that snowy weather and things of that nature.
I mean like just during Christmas time, but like once Christmas is over, like I want the sun back.
Yeah, for me, I think spring used to be my favorite until I realized I had allergies. So I was just like, I love the beauty of spring, like the colors and things of that nature. But then I hate it because when I go outside, I feel like pollen just attacks me directly. So,
Yeah.
but fall is like one of my favorite because that's when you can actually go outside and not be hot. Me living in Georgia is very humid, but so in the summertime. So when the fall time comes, you get to put on like you could style. Like I'm big on like styling clothes. You could put on special, long sleeve shirts. You could put on the sweaters. You could put on the jackets because summertime is just like let's wear something that makes you like not as hot.
Yeah.
And but fall is like that's where you could customize things to the best things, the best of your ability. Put some boots on, things of that nature. So that's
Mhm.
why I love fall. Like I used to be a big cardigan sweater person, but I put the cardigan sweaters aside. But I still wear a good sweater. So I love the fall weather. I'm excited for the fall weather actually, and I love
Oh yeah.
Christmas. I love the snow, but growing up in New York is like you love looking at snow, but you hate shoveling it. So that's
Mhm.
what I have. Yeah. So
Oh, that's my life in PA. Why did I like forget that you grew up in New York? I was like, you grew up in New York?
yeah. I moved to Georgia when I was like 13.
I was
13.
just gonna ask you, how'd you end up in Georgia? Like, did your parents just want to like move to Georgia?
Yeah, so my dad, well, we had family that lived down here. And my dad was like, "Oh, we can get a house and for less money and get a lot of land. So why not?" So and plus,
Uh,
New York is very stressful. I mean, living like in the New York area is kind of stressful because it's hustle and bustle. But whereas when you come down to Georgia, everything is much slower pace. You get to, relax a little bit more, fresh air. You could see grass.
ooh, grass. Grass is nice.
I know, right? But yeah, so that's when we moved, and I mean, because I travel for work, I go to New York quite frequently, but I don't really miss it. I just miss the food. I think the Northeast food is pretty good night for Northeast food. So
Not where I live. The food where I live is whack. But I feel like the food in like bigger cities is good. So
yeah,
you're in Atlanta, right? So
yeah.
feel like a big city. So
Mhm.
you should still have good food options there. Definitely better than where I'm at.
Ah, yeah. But I mean, I know it's double as difficult because you're vegan. So it's like
There's
just that.
never anything good.
Yeah, you have to find this restaurants that cater to the vegan cuisine or find vegan restaurants. I don't know how many vegan restaurants are in Pennsylvania. So
Like one. Like
like
one.
what? So you know you by your name basically.
I'd just be eating at home.
Yeah,
I'd just be like, there's food at the house.
there's food at the
And then I
house.
cry.
Exactly. You have to get up, actually make something, and instead of ordering something in. I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks
It's
for understanding.
yeah. Hey. So I know we were talking a little bit earlier, and we were talking about a particular topic, and it was centered around having relationships and social media, and seeing relationships on social, all that good stuff. So, so what inspired you to want to talk about that?
I was just talking to Jackie about this yesterday,
Mhm,
and just for reference, Jackie is my fiance.
mhm,
But I was talking to her about how I've been thinking so much about social media lately and just how people use it. Um, Mostly because I make sure to use it for good and I only use it for good. But
mhm,
also, like I was telling you when we were texting about this, I'm not the type of person that's like into physical appearance that much. Like, of course, I have eyeballs and I take appearances in and I decide like whether I find it to be attractive or not. But
yeah.
I just am not interested in that. So I would never like use social media to just go like check people out. I use it just to read things that are like useful and beneficial to me. And I also use it as a way to just help others too.
Mhm,
So I just don't understand like the mindset from other people, but I just feel like, as I said when we were texting, that men are just never satisfied and they always want more, and that social media is just another way for them to check women out. And when I was talking to Jackie about this, I said it takes two people to make this type of situation happen. Number one, there needs to be the type of women who are posting just for attention.
mhm.
And then there needs to be the men who are on there just to see that. So, of course, it takes two types of people, but just the whole idea of it is disheartening to me. Like, I feel like it could make social media toxic.
Mm. I mean, we were texting that. I agree that it's kind of difficult because you know I'm pretty sure like the social media like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the people that created it have pure intentions. Like, okay, we're doing this so people can connect more, like Facebook, or we're doing this so we can see what's going on in people's lives, Instagram and all that stuff because it's picture based. But now it's kind of like, hey, there's IG models, there are people that are making a lot of money off Instagram showing their bodies. There's a whole bunch of things like that. And as we said, I think most men, I don't want to say all men, I don't want to put everybody in a category, but most men, they tend to be attracted to what they see. And I think it hurts a relationship if you start following these IG models and you start trying to, every time you open your phone, a social media app, you see someone almost naked. And it's like, especially when you're in a relationship, it gets difficult because it's like you're supposed to have someone that's with you by your side. You're supposed to be that's supposed to be that person that's it.
Mhm.
That's who you are attracted to. I mean, you could be attracted to a lot of things, but that's who you put your energy to. That's who you put your love and everything to. And then you open up your social media tabs and you see this person. It kind of for me, when I think about it, it's like you kind of diminish or you kind of make that partner less than because you feel like you have to go outside a relationship to get some type of attraction or to
Yeah.
get some type of thing that kind of pleases the certain parts of you, like lust, like it pleases the lustful side of you. Because yeah, I have somebody here, but at the same time, I could look at all these other women, for example, or I could look at all these other men and I could get some type of attraction there as well. So it's kind of like you're splitting yourself. Instead
Yeah.
of giving your all to that one person, you're splitting yourself to that partner, and you're splitting yourself to all the things that you see on social media. So
Yeah. I said to Jackie, like, I'm so glad that I know you don't use social media in this way. Like, I've never had to feel like I even looked through your friends list, but if I did look through it, like, I know I'm not going to see not one influencer or IG model on there because that's just not the way she is. Like, I know
mhm.
she's not going on there to look at people. And I just think about how society is these days and how hard it would be for me if I was in the dating field and like I had to date someone and I don't know like what they do on social media.
Yeah.
It's so difficult for a relationship not knowing what your partner is doing on there. And I also told her how I think it's embarrassing
Mm,
when you're in a relationship and you see your man liking so and so's pic, it just feels embarrassing, you know? Like that woman was looking for attention and my man went on Instagram and gave it to her. Like
yeah.
it's embarrassing. So it's just another area of life where you have to try extra hard to respect your partner. Like you shouldn't be following certain things, you shouldn't be doing certain things. And if you want to be a better partner, then you're purposely not going to do these things. It's hard not to want to look at IG models, but you need to just try to be a better partner and not do it because you know that you shouldn't. It's not going to be beneficial for you.
Yeah. And it goes to the something that we talked about also is like discipline and having a restraint. Because I'm married, I have a wife, and it's like that's like me saying, okay, well, yeah, I'm married with a wife, but at the same time I'm gonna go look at these IG models because I'm attracted to them as well too. But it's kind of someone looking from the outside in. It's like, well, don't you have a whole wife right here? Why can't you just focus your time on your wife? But at the same time, it gets difficult because, as you said, it's so accessible. Everything's so accessible. Like porn is accessible. IG models are accessible. People go to chat rooms. That's accessible as well. So it's all about discipline. Like for me, like I'm the type of person. Like yeah, I'm lustful. Yes, I'm a human being. Like I'm not perfect, but at the same time, where am I putting my energy towards? Am I putting my energy towards these IG models? By just jumping on Instagram or whatever, or am I putting my energy towards my wife? Everyone, and I hold true to this, like everyone has a choice. Everything is a choice. A lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, well, I didn't. I just it just came over me," or "I just got lured in." It's like, no, you had a choice. You had a choice to open that app. You had a choice to search for people's names because a lot of people they search for certain IG models' names and then pops up, and then they go through a whole rabbit hole of different IG models, and they start following them. Like for me, I'm not gonna follow any of these IG models. That's temptation. Like,
You better
wow,
not.
yeah, I better not. Because it's like, why would I tempt myself? Why would I put myself in that situation? It's not gonna end well for me. And I know that. So why would I do that to myself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when you text me and like said you were a lustful person, I was honestly very shocked. Like, obviously, no judgment at all whatsoever.
Mhm.
It's a natural, like, human instinct, but I was very shocked because you don't strike me as a man who like has that type of mentality. Like I said again, it's not a bad thing, but you just seem like very faithful and loyal and honest and just in line. I don't know. Well behaved. I just was like, nah, no. But you have eyeballs and you're a human being, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's funny that you say that because whenever like anything like out of the ordinary, like I do anything out of the ordinary, people like, you do that or you do something like this. And I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm human. Like I'm not holy and thou. Like I'm just like the type of person that I just sit in the corner and read a book for the rest of my
you're not.
life. So it's like, of course, like lust is out there. I'm a man. And as you said, people go out their way to attract you.
Mhm.
People go out their way to make sure that you take a second look or you take a second glance. And it's up to me, as I said, back to the choice factor. It's up to me to decide, am I gonna go fall for that attraction or that temptation, or am I gonna
Mhm.
step away? But at the same time, it's like I fall short sometimes. Sometimes I do stay on that picture a little bit too long if it pops up, or sometimes I do different things that I shouldn't be doing. But at the same time, that's the old me. That's the old me,
Yeah.
and I don't want to revert back to the old me because I'm married now. You know, single person doing stuff like that. That's to each. That's what they want to do. To each his own. But if I'm married, I can't do things that single people do. I can't be following these IG models. I can't be falling for temptation. I can't be talking to certain people because it's not going to help me and help the relationships. But as I told you when we were talking, I was like, you were going heavy on the men, but I was like, women do the same thing too now. Don't forget, women are very
You were
lustful. They
trying to
can
come at me. I
be.
I was not even talking about you. Like I didn't feel like I needed to purposefully say like not you,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but obviously not you.
yeah,
But and I also like don't want to come off like a man hater because I'm not. Obviously you and I are friends. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
a man hater.
yeah. Mhm.
But I speak in general terms like most men, just like
Yeah,
you said,
yeah.
most men. And I agree that women exhibit these behaviors too. I completely agree. And I also shared with you that I enjoy attention.
Yeah.
So we both have that a characteristic about ourselves. So were you shocked when I said that to you?
I was shocked at how open you were when you said that. I was because sometimes people are they don't want to show themselves as like non perfect. Not to say that anybody's perfect, but they don't want to show as if like, okay, well, I do have faults about myself. Because
Mhm.
a lot of people like to hide them. You know, a lot of people like to put a mask and say, oh, well, I'm always good. I'm always this and that. But I was shocked when you said, I like attention. And it's kind of like, really? Like, how far does this attention go? Like, are you literally going out your way to get attention? Or if attention comes to you, are you the type of person that just lets it keep going? So I don't know. Expand on that a little bit for us.
Yeah, I can expand on that. Well, first of all, let me preface that with like my partner knows this about me, which I would imagine your partner knows that you can be a lustful person.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that in itself is a good thing because you don't have to hide a part of yourself.
Mhm.
Jackie loves me unconditionally and she knows that I struggle with this. But she also knows that I'm committed to myself and to my growth, and that I know that being an attention seeking person isn't beneficial for me.
Mm.
And just like you said, I still slip up, especially if she and I are having a rough patch. That'll definitely be a time where my morals kind of like go out the window a little bit and
Mhm.
I'll act like this. But like I was telling you via text, she'll call me out. She'll be like, your posts are not like beneficial nor helpful to anybody. You're just trying to be cute. And I'll be like, well, like, you right, maybe. But basically, let's see, how can we explain this? Like, I have always gotten attention my whole life. Like, even when I was a little girl, like, the main compliment that I received, even as a child, was you're pretty. It's never you're smart, nothing like that. It's always you're pretty. So,
Mhm.
obviously, as soon as I became an adult, I started to realize like, this is a power that I have. I can get whatever I want because
Oh,
I'm pretty.
you were that type of person.
I legitimately thought like I'm so pretty. I can have whoever I want and I could just get whatever I want. And I would even like think that before job interviews. Like I would be like, man, I'm not good at job interviews, but I'm pretty, so they're probably going to hire me anyway. Um so yeah, and it's not necessarily my fault, nor is it society's fault, but
Mhm.
I grew up being told this. So eventually it gets to your head, don't you think? Like if somebody's telling you you're dumb your whole life, what are you gonna think? You're
Yeah,
dumb.
that's true. Yeah.
So it's just something that happened, and it was before I decided to grow as a person. So it was just something that I used to my advantage. When I had my first full-time job, literally like every man that was married there was like sending me IMs, like trying to talk to me. And
Wow.
I don't know, it just gets in your head. And I haven't shared this on the podcast yet, but I'll mention it now. But I was in an abusive relationship and I felt so insecure. So, of course, other people telling me I was pretty was really good for me. I enjoyed it. This is where I learned to enjoy attention because I wasn't getting it at home. I didn't love myself. So, I liked attention. It was a coping mechanism for me. So, and I knew that there were certain things that I could do to get attention, just like there's certain pictures I could post on Instagram that will get me attention. I just know how to get it. If I want it, I know how to get it. And basically, that's the explanation to the attention.
Wow, I'm learning some new things, just like you learned some new things about me. But it's I think it's really healthy because at least at least we both know what our certain triggers are, especially in relationships to social media, because as I said, it's easy. It's easy to make, like, okay, say I wake up one day, I'm like, okay, I want to look out for something, like I'm looking for something. It's easy to go search for it,
Yeah,
but it takes a lot of effort and a lot of healing, as we both are, we both are going to talk about, I'm sure later on in the podcast, that, it takes a lot of effort to say, no, I'm not going to do this. Let me use that energy for something else.
right.
Because it's not, and I think a beautiful quote that you said from your therapist is like, it's never going to go away. Is you have to live with it. So how are you going to live with it? Are you going to live with it by letting it take over your actions, or are you going to live with it by you controlling it? So I think that's the biggest thing.
I was so shocked when she said that to me because I mean, me wanting attention isn't the only thing I would like to work on. Like, there's so many things I want to work on. And I say to her, like, sometimes I'll just say to her, like, I'm not getting better. Like, I've been through all of this, it's been all of this time, and I'm just not getting better. And she's just always like, how could you say that? How could you say that? Like, after everything you've been through, everything you know, you're so smart, you're so emotionally intelligent. How could you say that you're not healing and you're not getting better?
Yeah.
And then that's when she ended up telling me, like, these things never go away. You just learn to live with them. So I was just shocked to hear that. But it helps to hear that because you're going to be so frustrated trying to make something go away. Like me
Yeah.
wanting to get attention. I'm going to lose my mind trying to make that go away. That is a part of who I am, unfortunately. But because it's not a positive characteristic, I need to actively work on not living in it and not thinking about it and not using it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because once you start tapping into it, like you try to use it, to your advantage, then you're like, oh, this is easy. Let me continue to keep doing this because it's something that is feeding. You're getting something out of it, like it's feeding a part of you. But I've
Right.
learned, yeah, I've learned that sometimes certain parts of you don't need to be fed. Let it starve out. Like keep it to the side and focus on the other parts of you because as you just said, there's so many other things that you could be focused on with the healing process and growing and learning and things of that nature. Whereas that certain part of you, give it to your spouse, give it to your significant other, give it to that person that you care about, because if they are really that person for you, they'll feed that part. They'll
Mhm.
feed that. Like, I'm lustful for my wife. I can say that. Like, I'm using that energy that I'm using for my wife. I'm not using it for anybody else. And I don't have to worry about me going behind somebody's back, me being sneaky, me doing things that I shouldn't be doing and I'm going to get in trouble for later on. No, I'm going to use all that energy to my wife. And same thing for you. Like, you're using all that energy for your significant other, like getting the attention from her. And I think the beautiful thing about it is that even if you feel like you're not getting that, it's not feeding that part of you. I
Mhm.
think the best thing about it is that we're able to address it. Like say, hey, I wish you, I wish we were more intimate. Or for you, I wish you would give me more attention. And you
Mhm.
talk about it. And I think that's the biggest thing about it is that instead of me trying to go outside the relationship to get it, why don't we try to work on getting it more inside the relationship? So,
Yes, exactly. And I think that the part you're talking about that you're feeding is your ego. That's
yeah,
the part of
yeah,
yourself
that's
that
there
you're
you go.
referring to. Your
Mm,
ego wants what it wants, and it doesn't always want good things. Even though it feels like that would be satisfying if I receive that, it's it's not good. Your ego doesn't always want what's best for you, and it's
right.
important to realize that. But ego work is just a whole other thing that,
Yeah.
I don't even have a lot of knowledge on, but I try to think about it and incorporate it into my daily life. But I'm aware that like my ego wants attention
Mm,
just so that I can feel better about myself. But like I told you when we were texting about this, I really just think it's all about like self love.
yeah.
I feel like I come across to people like I'm confident and self loving, and it's not that I'm not, but no one is 100% anything. I'm not 100% self loving. So there are times where I don't feel good about myself, and that's where my ego wants attention because that's where it used to get its validation. So my ego wants what it wants. It wants that validation. And so that's why I would act like I want attention.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of social media, I'm sorry, do you have something you want to say?
No, I was just gonna piggyback what you said. I agree that your ego is a it's a hell of a thing because sometimes it could lead you down the wrong path if you don't keep it in check.
Yeah.
And just like what we were saying, like it's a part of you. You can't go in your life and live your life acting like, oh, this is just something that happened in a moment. It'll never happen again. No, it's gonna happen again if you keep feeding it. So if you literally acknowledge that this is a part of you, these behaviors are a part of you, you now have a way to work on that. You now have a way to better yourself because you can focus on, okay, this part of me, I need to do something better. I need to fix it better. I need to make it better. So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. Like my therapist always tells me, do what's hard. What's
Mhm.
easy is to do what your ego feels like doing. I want attention. It's easy. I'm going to post a picture on social media in a certain way and I'm going to get that attention I'm looking for. And that's what's easy. But you know what's hard? Not posting that picture and maybe thinking about like, why do I want attention? Do I need to talk to my partner and like tell her I'm not getting the attention that I want? Or do I need to focus on self love for like a week or something? And that's what's hard. Always do what's hard because what's easy is not what's beneficial for you always.
I agree. I agree. Well said.
Thank you, man. So I have a story time. It's
Yes.
about social media. So
Okay.
I have this ex's permission to like share this story because I had asked him before. I told him like someday I feel like I'm going to be speaking. Like I don't know if it's going to be on YouTube, and this was before we created our podcast and everything. I just was like, if someday I feel like sharing our story, would you be okay with that? And he said it was fine.
Mm,
So yeah, I'm allowed to speak about it.
okay.
But anyways, so I started dating this guy, and like I don't know why I just constantly felt like I needed to check on his phone. And this was before that I knew that I was like an empath and that I have strong intuition. So I wasn't sure what this feeling was in me that was just saying like you need to check this guy's phone. And I never did. Like I remember one day I said something to him about his phone and he was like, "I don't care about my phone. See, look." And he threw it across the floor in my house and I just was like, okay. I was like, you don't have to throw your phone, like
Yeah.
fine. So I really didn't get it. But one day I remember like I went out for drinks with his sister actually, and he ended up picking us up and we went home and I fell asleep because I was just so wasted. So I ended up waking up, I think at like 5 in the morning. And I swear, as soon as I woke up, I was just like, check his phone. So he was sleeping and I went and I grabbed his phone and I went into his messages first. But he had like a bunch of messages to girls. Like, I didn't know who they were. I didn't
Mm,
know who they were. It was just a bunch of different girls, but it was just like regular conversations. But still, it was just strange. And then I went onto Facebook Messenger, and he had messages upon messages, like 15 to 20 different conversations.
wow.
I, I was beyond shocked. And then I ended up like coming across, there's a cat outside my door. I ended up I ended up coming across these messages where he was like trying to hang out with some girl. But I just was so shocked. I'm like, where does he even have time to like do this? And who
Wow.
are these girls? Like, what are you doing? It was just so strange. But that was one of the first times I had like a major issue in my relationship because of social media. Like, it
Mm,
was just so strange because it's just another way to conceal what you're doing
yeah.
because maybe your partner doesn't think to like go on your social media. So I'm not sure what made me like look on there, but I was just like, whoa, 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 like he's out of control. Like, does he even like me?
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. That's really interesting because with social media, it's so easy now to cheat. It's so easy now to like, send a DM, as people say, you send a DM to someone and they respond and you're having whole conversations and you end up meeting, you go trying to make plans to go meet with this person. It just leads down a downward spiral, and it's toxic because the fact is that you have someone physically with you, like you have someone that you committed to be in a relationship with, but at the same time you feel like that person is not good enough, that you're ready to go have conversations with other people. And you got to check yourself. You got to check yourself, especially being a man. It's so easy for you to go message a girl that you think has a cute picture, or you go message a person that you see is attractive, and it could destroy your relationship with someone that you feel that you wanted to have a long-term relationship with, and you end up breaking something that's good for something that is possibility, or something that might happen, or something that could happen, and you just end up living in the streets. You're forever in the street.
Forever for the streets.
Forever for the streets, and it gets that, yeah.
But it's like, what are men thinking when they see a nice picture? Like, even let's say for an odd reason, I see a picture of a guy that I like. Odd reason, like it wouldn't even make sense. But if I did, the first thing I'm not thinking is, what if I slept with him? Like, what would that be like? Like, would I like it?
Yeah.
Like, is that what men are thinking when they see a nice picture of a girl? Like, oh, I just like, are they just undressing her with their eyes? Like, I truly don't know. I'm honestly asking, like, what goes on in your mind?
Well, I can't speak for every single man, but for me, I
What goes
think
in your mind? And sorry to your wife in advance.
it's I think there's a difference that sometimes that people don't realize. Like, age does not mean maturity.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing, especially with males. I'll say that because there are grown men that still act like boys, and
Yeah.
there are men that try to act like that live a life as if they are a man. And I'll say the difference between the two. The difference between the two for me is that living in the streets, I feel like that's a boy, because they're searching for something. They're
Right.
trying to appease the ego, as we just talked about. They're trying to figure out who they are in this world, but they don't mind trying to figure it out with different people. And in a sense, kind of like get a notch under their belt and things of that nature, and essentially be a F boy, as you ladies call them. So
Are we allowed to curse on here?
I mean, you can if you want, I guess, but we just put it as explicit. But I think a man is someone that's willing to commit to something. Someone that's willing to share a part of themselves with someone and be vulnerable. Because I think boys, they're not vulnerable. They want to keep a persona. They want to live a life a certain way, to have a facade of the life that they're living. Whereas a man, in my opinion, a man is someone that's willing to share their emotions, their life, their faults, their successes, all this different stuff with someone. Whereas I think it becomes a gray area when a man doesn't know what their agenda is. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, is your agenda to sleep with women, or is your agenda to build a family? So I think that's the difference between a boy and a man. Yeah.
What if most men's agenda is just to sleep with women? Like, I agree with you that is the difference between a boy and a man. And I have rarely met men, but when I meet a man that's a man, I'll be like, yo, that's a man. Like
That's a man, man.
that's a man man. Like he is taking care of his responsibilities. He is organized. He is focused. He is intelligent. He is educated. I mean, even if you didn't get an education, because I know I didn't, you could still be a man man. But I
Mhm.
completely agree. Someone who's willing to be vulnerable with their emotions. And I feel like men, when they don't want to be vulnerable with their emotions, they use different things for that. Well, whether that's checking women out on social media, which is a major one, or whether that's drinking every single night, or whether
Mhm.
that's being abusive towards their partner, whatever it is that is feeding their ego, that is making them upset that they have insecurities.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely agree with you. But that doesn't answer my question about like what do you think goes through a man's mind when they see a picture they like? Like what is making them want to message the girl? Like is it an ego thing or is it a like an I might be able to sleep with her? So I mean that's still an ego thing.
Yeah, and I think to answer your question directly, I think I made it too broad. But to answer your question, I think just because you become a man doesn't mean you can't revert back to a boy.
Oh yeah,
If that makes sense. So
for sure.
if you're a man, it's a constant job. It's a constant task. And just like healing, it's an everyday thing. Like it's not something like, oh, I hit. It's like say you hit a certain level, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can stay on this level. No, you have to work to keep to that level. Like say
Mhm.
for example, to make a alliteration or something visual, you get to the mountaintop. You have to keep working to stay on that mountaintop. If you lose the energy and effort to stay on the mountaintop, you'll end up going back down. So
Mhm.
when a man that says they're a man start and they're in a relationship and they start messaging other women or hitting double tap and liking or getting
Mhm.
apps, those dating apps and stuff like that, they're reverting back to a boy because they want their ego to be fulfilled. Maybe they're not getting
Right.
something in their relationship, or they're not being vocal about something in a relationship, or they're having arguments in a relationship. So instead of the energy that they're using to make the relationship work, they'll rather convert back to a boy and use that energy to feed their ego. Does that make
Right.
sense? Okay.
Yes, and that kind of goes into what I was saying, where a man cannot accept the fact, not all men, most men, full disclosure, cannot accept the fact that they are feeling insecure, they're feeling vulnerable, they're feeling stressed about their relationship. Instead of just accepting within themselves, like, I'm stressed, I'm sad, like, I love this woman, things aren't going well. They rather just act like a man, which is what they think it is, and
Mhm.
like go look at women on social media and go message women on social media because that is just a way to kind of put what you're truly feeling in the back of your mind. And like I was saying to Jackie the other day, when we were talking about the whole social media thing, is
Mhm.
that when you put something in the back of your head, because I a lot of people say that to me, they'll be like, "Yeah, this and that is wrong with me. I'm gonna put that in the back of my head." You're really just not dealing with the issue. So
Yeah.
you're still acting on those behaviors. You're just not thinking about it at the forefront. Like when I say I want attention, even recently my relationship was going through a rough patch and like my posts on Instagram started to change a little bit and Jackie like called me out and was just like, "Oh, what are your posts about? Like you just want attention." And that was exactly what was going on. I was feeling vulnerable, I was feeling insecure, I was feeling stressed about my relationship. So instead of like dealing with it with her, I just was trying to get attention on social media. It's the same thing. You
Yeah.
can't put it in the back of your head because you're not dealing with it. You need to put it at the forefront. You need to tell yourself every day, I want attention, or I like to check girls out because I'm insecure. And that will allow you to work on it and become a better partner and just become a better human being in general.
Yeah. And I agree with that because it's like any problem that you don't address initially will just grow. Anything that you leave to the side, like, okay, I'll deal with it later. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to disappear. Nothing disappears. Back to the quote from your therapist, like you have to live with it. So if you're telling yourself, oh, I'm going to put it in the back of my head, or I'm going to think about it later or worry about it later, it's not going anywhere. That thing that's influencing you to act that way is just only going to get intensified because you're letting it grow day to
Yep.
day, every day. Instead of you saying, okay, I know I have this problem. I have attention issues or I have lustful issues, and what am I going to do about it? Am I going to let it win today, or I'm going to conquer it, or am I going to just let it be and just let it grow, and then later down the line I end up making a mistake in my relationship and it ends up hurting someone other than myself, or I'm going to say, hey, I have this insecurity of being lustful and I need to work on it. I need to maybe work on it within myself, maybe read a book that, talks about this stuff. Maybe I need to get a coach, maybe I need to get a therapist, but I need to go get help. I need to do something about it rather than just saying, oh, this is just what men do. Oh, this is just what women do. Because no, it's not. It's
Mhm.
just you making a decision. You decided to
Yeah,
let your ego win. So,
it's just what you're doing because you're toxic.
yeah.
But essentially, like in all areas of your life, whether you're a woman or a man, review your followers constantly. If somebody makes you feel some type of way, whether it's lustful, whether it's they're giving me attention, so I enjoy having them on here, or if there's someone you don't actually like, but you have them on there and you feel like you need to have them on there because they're your brother, they're your cousin, I say screw that.
Yeah.
Constantly review your followers because we are on social media so much, and if you have someone on there that's negatively impacting you, that becomes part of your life. The way you use social media is a part of your life. It's not a fake part of your life. You don't have a double persona. You are who you are, and what you're doing on there is very real, and adjust it accordingly.
Yep. I agree. And another thing about that is another side of the social media aspect is like, a lot of people, just like I would say probably for you, since you as you said, you're the pretty girl, so it's like people sliding in your DMs, people trying to message you. You don't have to
Mhm,
answer to those people. You don't have to entertain conversations. That's another thing I had to learn, especially in my relationship, that I'm a quote unquote nice guy. So if someone messages me or tries to engage me in conversation, I don't need to. I don't need to.
right.
Before I'm just like, oh well, they just trying to talk to me and stuff. But no, my wife literally said, just because you don't have that intention doesn't mean other people don't.
Yeah.
Just because you think this is just a casual conversation, the other person might think, oh well, I was able to get in, I was able to break through, and now I
Mhm.
can have some energy, I can have a little piece of him or piece of her. So I think that's another thing to think about as well. Just because you think that nothing's going wrong doesn't mean it's not wrong. So
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree with that. And I used to have a hard time with DMs because it says seen on it.
yeah.
So it's hard for me as a kind person, like you said, to leave someone on scene. But at the same time, it's like, do I want to be kind to that person or do I want to be kind to my partner?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, if I'm out here being kind to somebody else, I'm not being kind to my partner.
Mm,
So I do DM with guys who are my friends, like in real life, like my ex that I was talking about. I also have a coworker that I talk to on DM here and there. And it's only friendly intentions. But because I recently made my page public, there's like other DMs that I'll get and I just leave them on scene. It's hard for me, again, like a kind person. It's hard for me to leave them on scene, but I'll just
yeah.
open it and leave it on scene. And I'm like, eventually they'll get the point that I'm not going to involve myself in the conversation. But it was hard because there was this one guy messaging me and he was just like, "Hey Jackie, how are you?" And I just left it on scene. Then he messaged me again. He's like, "Hey, how are you?" And he's just like saying, "Hey, how are you?" So I was talking to Jackie about how like that's so hard because he's not being mean, he's not being nasty, he's
Yeah.
just saying hey, and I'm literally just not answering him. But I'm like, I don't know what his intentions are, and I'm not trying to find out. So I'm
Yeah,
just gonna have to leave
exactly.
it on scene.
Yeah. And that's definitely true. Like you have to be okay with saying no, especially on social media. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, even if you don't think you're like the most attractive person, maybe you don't think that you're the most flattering person, but there's someone out there that still wants to take some time from you. There's still somebody that wants to message you. There's still someone that wants to interact with you. But at the same time, you got to realize that, what am I going to do this? Like, what am I going to get from this? I have someone that is I can go talk to right now. I don't need to be in front of a screen to go talk to them. I can physically go talk to them. Or if you're a long
Yeah.
distance relationship, I can physically call them or things of that nature. So I think it's big on who you're giving your energy to. both sides of the playing field. Either you physically going to message them or going to follow them or like their pictures or things of the nature, but at the same time, who are you allowing to get talk to? Who are you allowing your space? Who are you allowing in your field
Yeah.
of conversation? Who are you allowing to get a piece of you? So I think that's important as well.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So I feel like we talked about guys a lot. I feel like we talked about guys a little bit too much.
You know what? I feel like you're feeling personally attacked.
No, hey, I'm more than welcome to talk about men all day, but I feel like there are women out there that are kind of like not predators, but there are women out there that they don't mind. They don't mind stepping out of relationships either. Like if because
Yeah.
I've definitely seen cases where women that are in relationships as well, but when they go out with their girlfriends, they act like they're single. Or
Yeah.
women that be on social media with DMs as well. So
Yeah.
um talk about that. What about you? Like how do you have you ever experienced like, women friends that you know that are that act that way, or do you feel like it's just mostly just guys that do stuff like that? So
I definitely don't think it's just guys, but it's just hard for me because I don't have personal experience with that. Like I've never really known anyone who was like that unless they were single. Like I've had friends that were single and were just doing their thing with people that were single, and of course they were using social media in that way. And that's fine. If you're 100% single and the man is 100% single, then do you on social media if you would like, but this is more so about people who are in a relationship. So I just don't have personal experience with that. But I am not saying that women don't do it. I'm really not saying that. I'm not saying women are innocent or anything like that. I just don't have personal experience with it. Do you?
that's a good question. I think the men are gonna lose this debate because I know more men that do stuff like this than women. Not to
Oh,
say
you do?
not to say no, I'm saying like single men. I think a lot of single
Oh,
men
okay.
actually more sliding in DMs and liking women pictures and stuff like that. But my married friends, no, I haven't. I think my married friends, guys are they're trying to be good men. They're not trying to be
But
boys. So at least my circle of friends, my circle. I can't speak for
what
all men, but
your friends that like do slide in the DMs and stuff like that, are they making sure this woman is single? Or do they know? Do they have an idea like, oh, she's single, so I could do this? Or do they still not care?
but I have the slimy friends. I'm not gonna lie. There are some slimy friends out there that,
Oh,
but at the same time, but as you said, the women are allowing those conversations to happen. So it's I don't think we can blame one side if the other side is engaging. And I
yeah.
think that's the biggest thing because you hear the whole cliche that all men cheat, but there are women that cheat as well. So we have to give
Yeah.
the energy to both sides. And I think the biggest thing about it is that if that is your nature of stepping out and doing stuff like that, then you just need to be single. Be single until you get all that out of your system, all of that mindset that you need to continue to feed your ego. Because when you're in a relationship, it's not about your ego; it's about you two becoming one. So
Hmm.
if I do have friends like that, which I did say I have friends like that, I talk to them. I'm like, well, so what are you trying to get out of this? And some say, hey, I just want to have sex with the person. I was like, okay, well, that's your purpose. But at the same time, you know that this is not gonna last forever. But some people say they don't want to get married. Nowadays, things are different these days. Things are different these days. I don't know what the single world is like nowadays, but with my, me being a coach and I do coach people that are single, they said it's difficult, like for the people that want to be committed, because a lot of
Yeah.
people are just sleeping around and all this different stuff. So I tell my clients that just focus on what you want at this moment, because that person will eventually be there. You'll find not everybody's sleeping around. Not everybody is
Yeah.
in the streets. There are people that want to be committed relationships. It's just you just gotta keep focusing on yourself, loving yourself, growing within yourself until you meet that person, because that way you'll be ready for that commitment. So
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Not everybody's sleeping around, but it does feel like that. And I can see why I feel like that. And again, I think that has a lot to do with social media because you can constantly feel like the grass is greener on the other side. There's always something for you to see. There's nothing left to the imagination, and everything is just on there. Whereas back in the day when there was barely even cell phones, there was nothing much that you can do other than face yourself and face your insecurities. I feel like people were more in tune with their emotions back then. Like I just wish so bad that I was an adult like in the 90s because everything is just like so weird these days. It's just like instead of listening to my feelings, I'm going to scroll on social media. That wasn't an option back then.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feed on social media too much. Like they feel like social media is like their god. Like whatever you get
Mm,
from social media, that's it. That's what it is. And you see that
yeah.
so much with like the trends that happen and as we're talking, like social media makes relationships feel terrible. Like it feels like you're the exception of the rule. Like the norm is to sleep around. Like that's what you should be doing. Whereas being in relationships, like, nah, relationships are toxic. Oh, you it's like no, relationships are not toxic. The concept of relationships are not toxic. It's the people that jump
Mhm.
into relationships and think that's gonna work, they're toxic because they for me, like, and I post this all the time, like in my coaching page, it's like you can't expect yourself to be healed or to be whole from someone else. You have to work on that yourself. You have to grow within yourself. You have to heal within yourself. You have to become whole within yourself. You have to love yourself. Then step into a relationship. Because
Mhm.
just like you don't want to complete someone else shouldn't be trying to complete you. You have to
Mhm.
be your whole person, and then you meet a person, a whole nother person. That way you guys could come together. You can't be bits and pieces of yourself. You're not really knowing who you are as a person. You're not really trying to grow within a person. You're just coming as you are, and you know who you are is broken. And you go into a relationship, and then when it doesn't work out, you're like, oh, relationships are no good. I'm just gonna be single. No, it's because you're not all the way good, and you're not all the way
Mhm.
there. So you have to work on yourself before you step into something, because just because you step into a relationship doesn't mean everything is over and that's it. It's still, you still got to grow within the relationship. You still got to put work into the relationship. It's not an end all be all. You guys are both working together, and it's literally you're coming with your own stuff and your own mindsets and your own way of thinking, and the other person is coming with their own stuff, own mindset, own way of thinking, and now you guys are collaborating together. So that's how I feel. We could talk about that all day, but that's just basically what I feel.
No, I agree with you. I just posted that on my story the other day, like
Mhm.
about all of that. Did you see it?
What was, I know you kind of you have a lot of things that you post. So which one?
Oh, David. I posted the other day like about how no one completes me and no one is my everything and
Yes,
things like
yes,
that.
I did see that. I did see that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I feel like it's just romanticized for you to say that about your partner, and I'm like, "You know what? I don't feel about that way about my partner." And I'm not saying I
Oh,
don't love her deeply. I'm just saying that I feel like that's an unhealthy attachment for me to say that about anyone. I even used to feel that way about my kids. Like I used to say like they're my heart and soul. They are everything to me. And getting divorced helped me realize that they're not.
yeah,
I am everything to me and I love them so much, but they are not my identity. Me
yeah,
being a mom
yeah,
to them is not my identity. Me being my ex-husband's wife was not my identity. And
yeah,
that took me a while to learn that. Like I felt like a shell of myself after the divorce because I had to share the children and I had the person who I considered to be my other half not with me any longer. So then I felt like a shell of myself. And so that helped me to learn that being in a relationship with someone is not them completing you in any sort of way. And it was a tough lesson to learn.
yeah, yeah. I think everything that we talked about is a tough lesson. It really is. Like, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people think that us just talking about this and being at the level that we are, it's just like, oh, you just woke up one day and that was it. No, you got a lot of trial and error. You had a lot of ups and
Mhm.
downs and a lot of mistakes and things of that nature. But the biggest thing that you have to remember is that it's worth it on the other side. It's worth it.
Mhm.
It's worth it to not be that person where you gotta go seek attention from someone that you don't know, or it's worth it that you have someone that you live with or you are in a relationship with that is that you can be open and completely honest with that person and not have to hide yourself.
Yeah.
It's good on that side, and I just wish people will at least try and put effort into it. But I feel like a lot of people don't like to put the work in. And that's the reason why they're in those toxic relationships, because they think it's easy, or they're in the street because it's easy. Being in the street
Yep.
is easy. Building a home takes effort.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do what's hard.
yeah,
That just came full circle.
yeah.
But like I said to you when we were texting, at the end of the day, everybody just wants someone to come home to and love. And that's not always going to feel like, the new euphoric butterflies that you feel when you meet somebody new. It's going to feel very like stagnant and normal. You're not always going to be attracted to your partner. You're not always going to feel like you're in love with them. And that's okay. And
Yeah,
people just know that that's normal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Stop bringing emotions from being single into a relationship. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing about.
That's right. But yeah, that concludes today's topic. We'll call this one social media and relationships.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
Um, yeah, so we know a lot of you guys can relate, and if you have any comments about this, feel free to DM us over at With Heart and Soul on Instagram. You can
Yes.
also DM me personally at Love, Peace, and Kindness on Instagram. And that's all together, no spaces or periods. And With Heart and Soul does have periods. So it's like with dot heart dot and dot soul. And then David, as he mentioned, he is a relationship coach
Yes.
and he has an Instagram as well. It's called at Colab Coaching. So that's COLAB coaching, no
Mhm.
spaces, periods, underscores, none of that. So yeah, what do you
Yeah,
guys
and
think?
don't forget we're gonna post the live videos on YouTube as well. So comment on
Mhm.
there as well, and like and subscribe so you don't miss it on that. And then Spotify, podcast gonna be on Spotify, be on
Mhm.
SoundCloud, and pretty much if any podcast station, we're gonna make sure we're gonna get it on there. So eventually, but for Spotify, SoundCloud, those are the big ones right now, and Buzzsprout, if you use Buzzsprout as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, give us some feedback. How'd you guys think about the first episode? We'd love to hear. And if you have any questions or have any topics for us in the next podcast, we're all open for it, because we wanna make this more interactive. So
Yeah, for sure. We're planning to have some guests on. I already have like a long list of people that will come on and like talk about their relationships. And I know David has that as well.
yeah,
So we're super excited for our vision. And this is a self help podcast. So, if you can't afford therapy and things like that, this is an awesome way to help yourself for free.
yeah, exactly. So with that being said, thank you all for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah. Have a great week, guys. Bye.
Bye.